Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayashu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatiruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtaki Om Agnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shriyutah Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Virupam Sagrajatam Saganirabhanatam Tam Siddhivam Advaitam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyo Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Dandavat. Okay. So we're continuing on this chapter. Lord Krishna leaves Dwarka, arrives at Dwarka. Canto 1, chapter 10, verse 11, 12. Satsangan mukta dussango hatum notsahate buddha irtyamanam yasho yasya sakridakarnya rochanam tasmin yastadhiya partha saheran viraham katham darshana sparsha samlapa shayanasana bhojanai. The intelligent who have understood the Supreme Lord in association with pure devotees and have become freed from bad materialistic association can never avoid hearing the glories of the Lord, even though they have heard them only once. How then could the Pandavas tolerate his separation? For they had been intimately associated with his person, seeing him face to face, touching him, conversing with him, sleeping, sitting, dining with him. It's a very, very important instruction here. The intelligent, those who are intelligent, what do they do? The intelligent who have understood the Supreme Lord. Not everybody will understand. Not everybody who is intelligent will also understand the Supreme Lord. But who will understand? Who have got association of pure devotees. One can understand the Supreme Lord only in the association of pure devotees. And by that association, what happens? One becomes freed from bad materialistic association. So only by association with pure devotees can one become free from bad materialistic association. So this is very, very important. And such a person will can never avoid hearing the glories of the Lord. Never avoid hearing, meaning there can't be any other reason or impediment for his, Shravanam. He is desirous of hearing the glories of the Lord, and come what may, he will hear. Even though they have heard them only once. Meaning even just once if we hear attentively the glories of the Lord, we'll get attracted to hearing it more and more. So the glories of us, Shravanam, hearing from pure devotees. Right? Then verse is saying that then how could Pandavas tolerate his separation? So just hearing his glories only people cannot remain away from hearing only. Now what about actual separation, intimately associated with his person. I mean, he was present there, and they were so intimately serving him face to face. How could the Pandavas tolerate his separation? Right. So Shikshastakam also, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is expressing this separation. Of course, this is a very far off topic for all of most of us, at least. So Prabhupada actually gives some very insightful points here of, because this verse is very nice. I mean, it can become like a meditation for us. We have to reach this stage. And Prabhupada says where we are stuck and what is the reason for it. The living being's constitutional position is one of serving a superior. He is obliged to serve by force. He is obliged to serve by force the dictates of illusory material energy in different phases of sense gratification. So his constitutional position is to serve. Now he is obliged to serve, meaning doesn't look like, he's like by force, he's being obliged, he's being pushed to serve. So he's serving illusory material energy in different phases of sense gratification. And in serving the senses, he's never tired. So this is very, very interesting. Serving the Lord, people get tired. Serving the senses, people never get tired. Serving the Lord, people sleep. Hearing Bhagavatam, people sleep. Hearing Bhagavad Gita, people sleep. Lack of interest, tiredness, whatever you want to call it. But in engaging senses in sense gratification, they are never tired. And even though he may be tired, literally sometimes, people are so overworked during the week, then weekend, they feel like resting. But even though they may be tired, illusory energy perpetually forces him to do so without being satisfied. Pushing, go to the mall, go shopping, eat outside, spend money. Maya is pushing. There's no end to such sense gratificatory business, and the conditioned soul becomes entangled in such servitude without hope of release. So he's serving this Maya, but where there is no hope of release. It's like in the prison, serving the sentence, but there's no hope of getting out. But the release is only effected by association with pure devotees. By such association, one is gradually promoted to his transcendental consciousness. Now, why gradually? Because we are holding on to this serving Maya business. The first part is saying how we are hopelessly stuck in serving Maya. And because of that, even though we might have the association of pure devotees, we are only gradually getting promoted to transcendental consciousness. It's not immediately. Though the association is so powerful that it can happen immediately. Thus, he can know that his eternal position is to render service unto the Lord and not to the perverted senses in the capacity of lust, anger, desire to lord it over, etc. How he can know? When he is promoted to transcendental consciousness or in the process. So the whole key here is association of pure devotees. When one associates with pure devotees, one is gradually promoted to transcendental consciousness. As he is gradually getting promoted to transcendental consciousness and he is rendering service to the Lord, then he gradually comes out of this lust, anger, desire to lord it over, etc. Otherwise, we are hopelessly stuck in Maya. And the important point here is we should not fuel this. We have been stuck in Maya from time immemorial. Right now, fortunately, we have got this opportunity to pull us out of that influence. But in case, we continue to fuel that, if you continue to fuel it, meaning we are encouraging our own sense gratificatory activities, then it is like, there are so many devotees who are with the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. personal presence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but still fell. That is because they misuse their free will. Hmm. But the only hope is association of pure devotees. That is very clear. So this is very important. It is said that Hari, the personal Godhead, is so transcendently attractive that even those who are self-satisfied by self-realization and are factually liberated from material bondage also become devotees of the Lord. So this we know. Shukadev Goswami, Kumaras, so many examples. People who are self-satisfied, Atma Rama, by the Gnana process. But then Hari is so transcendently attractive. Shukadev Goswami, but just by hearing some verses describing Krishna and his activities from Bhagavatam, became super attracted. Under the circumstances, it is easily understood what must have been the position of the Pandavas, who were constant companions of the Lord. They could not even think of separation from Sri Krishna, since the attraction was more intense for them because of continuous personal contact. So this also means that if we get the opportunity to get, to be in personal service of a pure devotee, then that's even more beneficial. And that is why all servants, secretaries, etc., all Swamis, Maharaj, they are destined to go back home. There's no way they cannot go back home. I mean, unless like Balakrishna Das or, Chota Haridas, unless, they really willingly engage themselves in some sense of gratification. So his remembrance and this personal contact also can be affected, or the same effect can be realized by remembering. His remembrance by his form, quality, name, pastimes, etc. is also attractive for the pure devotee, so that he forgets all forms, quality, name, fame, and activities of the mundane world. And due to his mature association with pure devotees, he is not out of contact with the Lord for a moment. Very powerful, very powerful. Personal contact is obviously more intense because there's no chance of us spacing out. Spacing out meaning we suddenly become like no idea, what we are doing, and then we have to go on the spiritual path. We are doing some material things. We are spaced out. But when we are in a personal association of pure devotees, the chance of spacing out is very less, right? Because they'll pull us back, or just their presence, we will not space out. So that's very powerful. But if that is not possible, then even absorption in his form, quality, name, pastimes, etc. are also as powerful. And they're so attractive that he forgets, pure devotee forgets all the forms, qualities of this mundane world. And due to association, mature association with pure devotees, other pure devotees, he's not out of contact with the Lord for a moment. So that is the whole idea why this association is emphasized so much, right? And we should, we cannot just be self-study mode. Bhagavatam self-study mode. That's not going to give us the same result. Well, Bhagavatam is super, Amala Purana. But it's only in the association of similar-minded. The similar-minded is very important. Sometimes, we'll associate with devotees who are not similar-minded. Then we don't get the effect, don't get the actual impact. Similar-minded means similar mood of bhakti. For example, if one wants to do bhakti seriously, then he should associate with those devotees who want to do seriously or who are doing seriously. If someone wants to do associate, someone wants to say drown himself or herself in Shravanam Kirtanam, then he should associate with those devotees who are drowned in Shravanam Kirtanam. That is like-minded association. And that is mature association. Then one is not out of contact of the Lord for a moment. So Bhagavatam highlights this power of association many places. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that without association of devotees, bad association with which causes, what causes? Bad association which causes attachment, hatred, and other bad qualities will not disappear. So our bad qualities that we have is because of bad association. Attachment, hatred, other bad qualities because of bad association. Without association of devotees, this bad association will not disappear. Without disappearance of bad qualities, person will not become strongly attached to the pleasing qualities of the Lord. It's so powerful connection. Somebody might say, how does it matter? It's okay. I'm in some bad association. I'll not get influenced. No, we will get influenced. What happens by bad association? We develop attachment, hatred, and other bad qualities. And if these bad qualities are there, we cannot be strongly attached to Krishna, right? Which is basically our anarthas. Now, how do we get rid of our anarthas? Is with association of devotees, pure devotees. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur doesn't make this distinction, pure devotees, devotees. Devotees means pure devotees. Unless specifically in some scenarios, he'll say mixed devotion, mixed devotees, Mishra Bhaktas. But the whole discussion is actually about pure devotion. Bhagavatam is about pure devotion. It's not about mixed devotion. So we don't have to say that actually. But Prabhupada, because Kali Yuga, mixed devotion is prevalent. So he makes it clear in many places, pure devotees, pure devotees. And mixed devotion is prevalent in Kali Yuga. I mean, amongst those who do devotion, also mixed devotion is prevalent. Mixed devotion means Gnana and Karma. Meaning, Gnana means people do acts of bhakti because they think that it's one of the intermediate steps of achieving Brahman. And then when they achieve Brahman, when they realize that they are supreme, then they'll give up all this bhakti. So that is influenced by jnana. And then those karma, sense gratification, either this life, next life. So one is free from all that. He is a pure devotee. His desire is only to please Krishna. And all these scriptures are actually meant to elevate us to this platform of pure devotion. And that cannot happen unless we have the association of pure devotees. Now, can somebody explain why we cannot achieve the same thing by not having association of pure devotees? Why we cannot achieve this constant contact with the Lord without association? I've answered, but just want to hear back from all of you. Because this is very important. It has to register in our conscience. Why can't we, without association of devotees, make progress?
We are not pure, but the pure devotees are pure, so they carry the Lord in their hearts.
Okay.
And only they can have our connection with the Lord, because wherever pure devotees are, Lord is also there.
Okay. Okay. Any other answers?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, we tend to think that whatever we're doing is right. If we don't have the right association, like little into Maya, we think like this much is okay, we can do it, and that will become more like going forward.
Okay, very good. Okay. What else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Pure devotees, it helps us to learn more, and it motivates also.
Okay.
Like how to do pure devotion. Many things we don't know, but when with the immense in the association of pure devotees, we learn, and we also develop the desire to serve Lord.
Okay. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So, in devotional life, this anartha nivrutti is very difficult, what I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we come in contact with the pure devotees, so we'll get the inspiration and the determination will come by their association, so that it will helpful in so many anarthas.
Okay, very nice. Any other thoughts?
So, Prabhu, in the last verse, Prabhupada explained in the purport, right, that due to the association of the pure devotees, we are not even without Lord's association for a moment. So,
Yeah, okay. Okay, so see, we have to, Ruchira.
Yes, Prabhuji, like in like when we are with materialist in bad association, the whole atmosphere is like polluted, and the entanglement increases because those people who don't have interest in Lord, they cannot like influence us. In comparison to pure devotees, their hearts are always like full of Lord's pastimes and things, so they influence us. So it's a struggle while we are in bad association. Not able to explain the point I wanted to, because it's like relevant to me, like in this kind of association when there are no devotee association, it's very hard. It's a struggle to remember Lord 24/7, and it's difficult to practice.
Prabhuji, pure devotees, they always glorify the Lord. So by hearing the glorification of the Lord, people will be more attached to the Lord, Prabhuji.
Okay, so all of your answers are correct. So the one main thing, I mean, the important thing is to understand that we are by ourselves weak. That's the whole point, right? Because we are weak, we need strong association. And that's the reason why all the reasons that you all gave is absolutely correct, right? But if you look at the core reason is that we are weak. We are spiritually weak, right? And when we are weak, we need support. We need reinforcement, right? We need somebody who can give us that strength. And actually, the spiritual process gives us strength, right? So Shravanam Kirtam actually gives us strength. Krishna says in end of third chapter, he says, like, by spiritual strength, one can overcome this problem of lust. But the problem is that we don't end up developing spiritual strength because our practices are imperfect. Our sadhana is not up to the mark. Because we are weak-minded. Hridaya Daurbalyam. This is one of the root causes of all anarthas. Bhakti Vinod Thakur says in Harinama Chintamani. So he says that it is because of this Hridaya Daurbalyam that we just are not able to make as much progress as actually as there is that much power in pure bhakti. But because we are weak-minded. So unless we remain in the association of devotees. And also, can somebody also explain, or all of you can explain, what is the meaning of association of devotees, pure devotees? What is the meaning association? What should one do? What does one do when we associate?
Prabhuji, following the orders of the devotees.
Okay, following orders. Okay.
Prabhuji, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Vandanam.
Okay.
Taking instructions.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, all of it, right? And associating means non-material to start with, because I've seen many places, and even though in association of devotees, other devotees end up talking material stuff. First thing is we should avoid that. So I'm asking practical, right? When we associate, what should we do? That's the point I wanted to clarify, right? Because Bhagavad Gita is all about practical application, right? And we have to go into details. Like in corporate world, we say attention to details. So we have to go into details. So it's like you put yourself saying that, okay, now if I come in contact with a pure devotee, which means a pure devotee is there, right? Or I'm there in front of a pure devotee, what should I do? The first thing is we should obviously understand their superior position and their purity and be willing to be influenced, right? Be willing to be influenced by them. First one. Second is that we should, if we get an opportunity to speak with them, right, then we should not speak about mundane material things, material problems, this, that, and all that. We should always we should hear more, speak less when we're in the association of pure devotees, right? And we should question where possible, right? Or if something is not clear, etc. We should always take the opportunity to question, ask, inquire. We should observe their mode of devotion. We should observe their mode of devotion, right? And we should see how they are doing things, how absorbed they are, right? We have to be very observant, and we should be prepared, like I said, to let go of our inhibitions and assumptions and be influenced by their presence, by Shavanam, Kirtanam. And how do instructions come? Instructions don't have to come, on a personal, individual basis. Instructions are spoken in general, right? So if a pure devotee is sitting on a Vyasasana and if he's speaking, he's saying certain things and we should just take them as instructions. We should not think, oh, no, he's not told this to me, so it's not for me. No. So instructions means actually taking these things seriously. Oh, this was spoken in, that pure devotee spoke this in the class. Okay, let me try to incorporate that in my life. And that's the reason why I keep telling, right? Make notes, make notes, make notes. I mean, I always do this when I'm in a class hearing from some senior Vaishnava, and there'll be some amazing gems, amazing, powerful, statements which can change our life from their own personal realization. They'll speak, and then I will simply make a note, and I will not make note of 20 sentences. Maybe I'll make note of 2 sentences. If I practice those, then it will definitely change the trajectory of my bhakti. Trajectory means, how we are, our bhakti can be like on the ground, no trajectory at all. It's like flat, it's going, or it can go like this. For us to turn this from here to there, it requires us to recognize those secrets, right, that the pure devotees are revealing. And that's true even, which is why I always feel Prabhupada's purports, like Prabhupada's presence in his purports. Right. So in the sense, I always read with the mood that, okay, Prabhupada is telling me this. And that is why it's very, very effective, very powerful. Now, I don't know how many of you actually do that. But if you actually realize saying that you are actually hearing from Prabhupada, Prabhupada's purports are like classes. Previous acharyas, they write 3 sentences, 4 sentences purports. Prabhupada writes pages of purports. It's as good as he's sitting and giving class in front of us. Right, and you imagine saying that Prabhupada is speaking, and that itself is very pure association. It's unimaginably pure, but that requires, taste for hearing, absorption in hearing, and then we directly get influence. And there's no way we cannot get influence. But because we don't have that kind of absorption, physical presence can make a big difference. Physical contact, physical presence can make a big, big difference. Because like all of you said, pure devotees carry Lord in their heart. And so they actually have that influence around them, right? The spiritual energy, their own spiritual energy will influence us. But we have to do these activities which are favorable, right? Like hearing attentively, observing, inquiring, taking whatever they speak seriously, etc., right? Otherwise, just being in physical presence of pure devotee, it will have its own impact, but we might not make full use of it. Right, and of course, like bad association. See, okay, bad association, I also want to talk about that, right? There are two kinds of bad association. One is which influences us to do bad things. The other is that it's just not a good association, right? So there are these are two different things, right? Let me repeat. One is association which influences to do wrong things. Like, for example, you're in the association for drunkard, of people like that, right? Cheaters, etc., where you're influenced to do these things, or lusty people, where you are influenced to do these things, meaning they influence you. Like they say, no, you have to do this, come with us, do this, right? And they're like practically affecting us negatively. The other is not good association. You can consider them as like neutral association, and they are bad, but we can remain untouched. But we may not get any benefit from that, but we may not get any bad impact as well. Possible. But the most favorable is to have association of pure devotees, right? But if it is not, because not all of us will have that opportunity all the time. And all of us, some form or shape, have this bad association at home, which might not be bad influence, but it's just not a good association. It's not favorable association, but that's okay. That we cannot run away from, because we are in this Kali Yuga. So we should not feel so disadvantaged and like frustrated. But where possible, get physical association. If not, get Vani association of Prabhupada, get Vani association of gurus that you are, if you're initiated, if you're aspiring, we can get, and we can have the same impact if you are serious. Okay. So this is a very important purport for this session. Okay, shall we move on? Okay. 3. Sarve te nimishe rakshayistam manudrutate chetasah vikshantah sneha sambandha vichelustatra tatraha. All their hearts were melting for him on the part of attraction. Just look at this. Such beautiful words. They looked at him without blinking their eyes, and they moved hither and thither in perplexity. They're like completely bewildered. And their hearts were melting. Our hearts is also supposed to melt when we chant Krishna's name. And this melting, it's a part of attraction. I mean, everything about Krishna is attractive. Right? So our hearts have to melt. But unfortunately, today our hearts are melting for material things. They're melting for material things, then how will they melt for Krishna? She's so nice. Just imagine the position. They looked at him without blinking their eyes, staring at Krishna. This is a mood of prema, right? Love for Krishna. This is what it is. Right? Completely bewildered. Don't know where we are, what we are doing. Just totally attracted by Krishna. Once this relation is slightly revived, the conditioned soul at once becomes free from the illusion of material energy and becomes mad after the association of the Lord. Prabhupada is saying once this relation is slightly revived, which relation? The sambandha with the Lord. Meaning this relation means that we are making advancement. When we are making advancement and we develop a little bit, some kind of a relation, rasa, towards the Lord. It could be dasya, sakhya, vatsalya, madhurya, not shanta. Right? If any of these four, even if the relationship is slightly revived, one becomes mad. One becomes mad after the association with the Lord. Hmm? How nice is this transcendental madness? And the whole of Chaitanya Charitamrita is about this transcendental madness. Even Chaitanya Bhagavata, I mean, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu literally looked crazy to materialist people. Crazy, literally mad. Jumping up in the air and falling on the ground like, people feel, oh my God, all his bones are broken. Rolling on the ground, mad, literally mad. Saying, okay, we cannot imagine that kind of madness, but at least, there should be some madness. Yeah. And this is the intent, this is the goal. Right? But how can we be mad after the association of the Lord if we remain mad after the association of Maya, after the association of material things? Name, la, puja, pratishtha, prosperity, money, family, society, body. We cannot become mad. We'll become mad with material consciousness, not with. And that's the reason why, look at all our acharyas, right? They were mad. They were literally mad. I mean, just imagine, right? Goswami is leaving their big position, wealth, comforts, everything, and going and living like beggars. Aren't they mad? But this is the transcendental madness that we require. Anyway, that is why Bhagavatam is the topmost rasa, rasamalayam. And Prabhupada has given us this rasa in his purports. We have to just find these gems. We have to locate those gems and then meditate on them. See, just one word, mad. You have to become mad. Nyarundhan udgalad bhashpam autkantya devaki sute niryatyakaranno bhadram iti syad bandhavastriyaha. The female relatives whose eyes were flooded with tears out of anxiety for Krishna. See, this is the beauty of being a female. Right? There are emotions naturally, and if they are towards the Lord, it's so beautiful and it's makes us attached to the Lord so easily. So initially I was wondering why they're talking about female relatives, why not male relatives? Male relatives will not cry, right? Before whatever, my la puja, my pratishtha, my position, what will people think about me? Female relatives will not worry. They'll just cry, natural for them. Eyes flooded with tears out of anxiety. What anxiety? Anxiety like Krishna is going. They came out of the palace. They could stop their tears only with great difficulty. They feared that tears could cause misfortune at the time of departure. What misfortune can be caused to Krishna? But this is their love. And they just forget what is Krishna's position. And their eyes are flooded with tears. So, read these verses, you'll think, oh my God, I'm like so far from all this. Therefore, directly or indirectly, anyone who thinks of Krishna, talks of Krishna, worships Krishnas, becomes attached to him. See, process is so simple. Think of Krishna, talk of Krishna, worship Krishna. Actually, so one more thought that comes to my mind, right? How many of us are actually hearing? So there are two things, right? One is hearing about large energies and hearing about the Lord. Now, both are required. Both are required. So, for example, now going forward, right now, Parikshit Maharaj will subsequently ask Kadev Goswami the questions about so many topics, right? And though he is attracted to Krishna, he is attached to Krishna's form, but then he also asks so many things about this material universe, right? He asks about Purusha avatars, he asks how creation happens, then he wants to know about time, then he wants to know about different planets, planetary systems, how people are experiencing results of karma. So many questions he's asking. But he's a pure devotee. He can simply be happy just hearing directly about Krishna. But he's teaching us, saying that, so there are two types of things hearing of Krishna. So when we hear about material creation, Purusha avatars, we should know that is also non-different from Krishna because it's all coming from him. And that is required, especially for those still conditioned to this material world. We have to understand this jnana and then develop detachment. Oh, this material world is temporary. Oh, these things are illusion. Oh, I don't have to get attached to this. So that comes from jnana. So one has to hear that. But when somebody goes beyond this material attachment to this material world, then they can hear about Krishna, directly about Krishna's pastimes. And that is why Prabhupada is so merciful with this Krishna book. So again, I'm requesting all of you, please, somehow in a day, spend some time hearing about Krishna directly. Actually, Prabhupada gave a very simple program. He said morning Bhagavad Gita, right? Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. Night before sleeping, just hear Krishna book. Right? Because both have to happen. By the process of, all of us naturally, because we have come to ISKCON, we are more easily attracted towards Krishna's form, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's qualities. Right? But we are not introducing that as part of our schedule, hearing directly about Krishna. And we might not be qualified right now to enter into the full 10th canto because we have not read the other 9. But we are absolutely qualified to hear Krishna book. See, this Krishna, Krishna, Krishna should be there, in our life as much as we hear. And of course, when we make progress, then we will understand, oh, Purusha Avatara. Even when Purusha Avatara is being discussed, we'll think, oh, Krishna is doing this. But not initially. I remember first 2 times maybe I read Bhagavatam. I was just feeling like, oh, all these are so many 9 cantos. Why should I wait? I don't want to read all this. Then slowly, steadily, I realized, oh, okay, this is all nothing is non-different. Everything is Krishna. It's just Krishna himself doing in so many different forms and helping me understand the Aishwarya of the Lord and how so mercifully he's created this universe for our, for us to transform ourselves and go back. But till we get that, it takes time to start seeing Krishna and everything. The best is to hear Krishna book every day. If you want to hear, there is audiobook. If you want to read, then there is, actual book you can read based on what your taste or preference is. But make sure that you don't do it like when you're like half asleep. Right? Like just before going to bed, something like that. Or whatever. Hear about Krishna. Right? Both are important. So I'm just saying do both. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam predominantly will be about Krishna, not direct as in about Krishna's energies, his avatars, etc. But directly Krishna, till we come to the 9th, 10th canto, we can hear from Krishna book. Because Krishna is absolute, there's no difference between his name, form, quality, etc. Our intimate relation with Krishna can be confidentially revived by our talking of, hearing of, remembering him or remembering him. It is so done due to spiritual potency. So there's put a spiritual potency in these processes because they're not different from Krishna. So our intimate relation can be confidentially revived. Confidentially. Confidentially, why? I don't know why Prabhupada has used the word confidentially here. Very confidentially. That is intended to be private or secret in confidence of the record, quietly, secretly. Any thoughts by confidentially? Okay, I'm not sure.
I think he's talking about intimate relation. So maybe the rasa.
No, confidentially. Confidentially means in private, right? In secret, like that, right? So what is the dictionary saying, right? Privately, in private, in confidence, off the record, quietly, secretly, behind closed doors, in, like not publicly type, right?
Yeah.
But
maybe because not everybody will understand.
Maybe not everybody will understand what?
The relationship between the devotee and
okay. Okay, you're saying like confidential information type.
something like that, Prabhu.
Okay. Okay, maybe. Not very sure. Okay, we'll see. We'll think about it. So anyway, the point is our intimate relationship will be revived. And that for that intimate relationship, we have to hear every day, right? Talking of, hearing of, remembering. Actually, if you see the pattern of purports, right? Prabhupada has written. Bhagavad Gita is so much about more knowledge, right? But Bhagavatam is so much about practical application, so many things, actually practice of bhakti. There it is, practical application of some of the things that Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita, which is to make one a devotee. But Bhagavatam purport somewhat seem like more hands-on in terms of how to do bhakti. Isn't it? I mean, that's what I feel when I read the purports. Okay, so please incorporate this into your, which is why preaching is a very fortunate, seva, if one gets. Because I have to do it for others, I'm like literally end up doing all these things on a daily basis, because maybe I'm not doing it for myself. Maybe I'm doing it because somebody is waiting, somebody wants to hear, right? And especially because I do it for the Kannada speaking audience, and they like to hear more than reading, unfortunately, backgrounds, etc., right? And so then we are now, because of Krishna Janmashtami, we are sending 1 or 2 chapters of Krishna book every day, right? So obviously it's making me read Krishna book, right? And we will never read with the same absorption when we are reading by ourselves, when we are reading for somebody else. So that is why, please try to preach. And those who are started to preach, you will understand what I'm saying, right? Like the rasa that one experiences when they're preaching is very different from the rasa one experiences when we are hearing. And then after a certain level, then both becomes equal. When we are doing so much preaching, that we'll also be very happy to hear when other devotees are speaking. But till then, the rasa of, that we experience while hearing will be lesser than when we preach. So active preaching is very, very critical. And of course, preaching means book distribution, giving classes, talking to devotees, all of it. Very powerful. Mridanga sankabhairyascha veena-pranava gomukaha dunduryanaka kantadya nedurdundubhayastata. While the Lord was departing from the palace of Hastinapura, different types of drums, Mridanga, Dhola, Nagara, Gundhuri, Dunduri, and Dundubhi, and flutes of different types, the Veena, Gomukha, and Bheri, all sounded together to show him honor. Okay. Prasadash Shikhararudaha Kurunaryo Didrikshaya Babrushu Kusumai Krishnam Prema vrida smitekshanaha. Prema vrida smitekshanaha. Very nice. Out of loving desire to see the Lord, the royal ladies of the Kurus got up onto the top of the palace and smiling with affection and shyness, they showered flowers upon the Lord. The prema vrida smita ikshanaha. Prema, out of affection and love, glancing with shy smiles. So smiling with affection and shyness, they showered flowers upon the Lord. Now we should not read this smiling with affection and shyness as a feminine thing, right? It's not a feminine thing. In the sense, it's not because they are women they are doing it. It's because they are devotees they are doing it, right? Because I was under this, I was reading these statements wrongly initially, saying like, why women, why not men? You should just read it as devotees who are in that same mood of loving service to Krishna. They'll experience the same thing. Of course, the shyness, it depends on the rasa, right? Depends on the rasa we develop with the Lord. And naturally here we may think, okay, because they are looking at Krishna as they want to, associate with him in, in different kind of rasa, maybe they are feeling shyness. It's not like Mother Yashoda will feel shyness towards Krishna, right? So it just depends on the rasa. But the whole point is it is loving desire. Lovingly want to serve. Lovingly now they're going to glorify Krishna. So beautifully they're going to glorify Krishna. Right? And Prabhupada makes a very, very powerful statement. Shyness is a particular extra natural beauty of the fair sex. And it commands respect from the opposite sex. Yesterday I was telling our Shri Prabhu Shruti Mataji's daughter, Krishna Manjari. So she's so small, but she feels shy. She doesn't talk to me. Like she's so small. She doesn't look at me. I said, so nice. I like, this is what Shastra is saying. Shyness is a particular extra natural beauty of the fair sex. That it commands respect. Prabhupada talks about this, right? He talks about, some person who was a lady who was cleaning the, like a maid servant. Because she was so shy, she commanded respect, and men who were sitting in the room actually got out of the room and went out because she had come in to, sweep the floor or whatever. So he says, like, see, this is the shyness of women. It commands respect. And when this shyness is lost, the whole society is lost, destroyed. This boldness that is there in us, right, which might seem like a very natural thing to us, right? But it's what is destroying this whole society today. Because respect is lost. Respect is lost. The respect is given, actually, is like command respect, meaning like just comes, when there is shyness. So I don't know, how easy or difficult it is for Mataji, but it's very, very important. This custom was observed even during the days of Mahabharata. That is more than 5,000 years ago. It is only the less intelligent persons, not well versed in the history of the world, who say that the observance of separation of female from male is an introduction of the Mohammedan period in India. And so the separation is an indication of that shyness. This incident from the Mahabharata period proves definitely that all the ladies of the palace observed strict parda, restricted association with men. And instead of coming down in open air, where Lord Krishna and others were assembled, the ladies of the palace went up on top of the palace and from there paid their respects to Lord Krishna by shower of flowers. Now, look at this, right? Compare this to our current behavior, right? If some Maharaj has come, everybody runs, right? And here Krishna is himself come. And the ladies are still following etiquette. There is a way, right? Vedic culture is about a way of living. And it is shown in the pages of Bhagavatam by Krishna's pure devotees. And he was personally present. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed how women have to be treated. Right? And women have to learn this. Right? And it's not, it's beneficial. Everything that the Shastra has given us is beneficial for the Atma who is in the body of a lady, Atma in the body of a man. Following whatever Shastra says actually is beneficial for us. It's going to help us go closer to Krishna. But it's, I mean, and this is what Prabhupada is saying. It's not like somebody just cooked this up. Prabhupada is writing these statements in his purpose. Now, you see, we can choose to read this and forget it, right? That's the reason, that's the point I keep making, saying that, what are things that are important for us? And if you see the kind of points that I'm making, it's not one-sided. It's not just about rules, or it's not just about culture, or it's not about rasa, or love for Krishna, or happiness derived out of devotional service, or the way. It's all these are important for us. All these are important. We cannot take one and leave the other, because we'll not get the full impact, full effect. The material beauty of a woman is an illusion, because actually the body is made of earth, water, fire, air, etc. But because there is association of the living spark with matter, it appears to be beautiful. No one is attracted by an earthen doll, even if it most perfectly prepared to attract the attention of others. The dead body has no beauty, because no one will accept the dead body of a so-called beautiful woman. Therefore, the conclusion is that the spirit spark is beautiful. And because of the soul's beauty, one is attracted by the beauty of the outward body. The Vedic wisdom, therefore, forbids us to be attracted by false beauty. But because we are now in the darkness of ignorance, the Vedic civilizations allows very restricted mixing of men and women. Now, please hear this, look at this statement, right? The Vedic wisdom, therefore, forbids, look at the word forbids, us to be attracted by false beauty. But because we are now in darkness of ignorance, Vedic civilization allows very restricted mixing of woman and man. And today in ISKCON, we say we are transcendental, Prabhu. And we know how transcendental we are. Right? We are far, far, far from being transcendent. Right? And when we say these things, saying that, okay, Matajis have to come this set, Prabhu, there'll be people in the crowd who will be staring at us, saying that, why are you making this distinction? Sorry, because we are not at that platform. We're not at that platform of not seeing the body. Unfortunately, we should raise above that platform, but we are still in the male consciousness, female consciousness. They say that the woman is considered to be fire and the man is considered to be butter. Butter must melt, will melt, must melt in association with fire. And therefore, they may be brought together only when it is necessary. And shyness is a check to the unrestricted mixing. It's a nature's gift and it must be utilized. So beautiful, so perfectly written, explained, concept. So perfect. Nobody can have any doubt in terms of why this separation, why this distinction, etc. is important. It's very clearly, completely clearly explained. So we have to really respect these statements. It's for our own good. And this is association of a pure devotee. Prabhupada is saying this to us, saying that don't end up unrestricted, end up in unrestricted mixing of, men and women. There is a reason it's very important, especially for, preachers, that whatever it is, of course, like still talking to somebody yesterday saying, wherever we go in preaching, there are a lot of women. Women are naturally attracted. Prabhupada writes that also in our purport. They're so simple-hearted in one way that they become very easily attracted to bhakti. Right? And men are too much of false ego and running behind money and other things. So they don't come for any of these satsangs, very less, very limited, right? So preachers have to be extra careful. So we make sure that we don't end up in, personal private conversations with women unless it is connected to bhakti. And even that ideally should be restricted. And when it's a married woman, then it's always good to be talking to that woman in the presence of her husband. And these are people who are preaching and who are preachers, right? And don't take it for granted. Don't take it for granted. Every moment we have to be conscious, especially when we're preaching. And when we're in the association of other people, we have to maintain this separation, respect it. Respect, give distance. I've seen this. I mean, I used to feel so awkward even in office, right? When women colleagues used to come like stand 5 centimeters, from a male person. And, inevitably, if that happened to me, I would move back, right? Saying, no, not required. It's okay. You can be at a 1 arm distance, 2 arm distance is safe. Always. And this is required even amongst devotees. That proximity, physical proximity, is allowed only with one's husband, wife, etc. And that too not in public, in private. When required, if required. Not mandatory. Right, and especially with other people, clearly there has to be distance maintained. Physical distance is important. Maintain physical distance. And these things impact, we are not so clean. We're trying to get out of this entanglement. And, this the sex is the biggest entanglement for people in this material world. And we have to be very careful. We have to be very careful. So kindly think about this, meditate on this, and see what of these you can, implement in your, bhakti life. Okay, so we are 9:02 today, so I'll stop here. So we finished till 16. Okay, slow progress today. 1 to 16. Okay, if anybody has any questions, we can discuss.